New numbers from the U.S. Department of Energy seem to suggest that the boom in shale oil and shale gas in the United States is going to extend to the rest of the world. The new numbers say basically that global reserves of oil from shale formations add up to about 345 billion barrels. That's about 80 billion barrels more than in Saudi proven reserves. It's 10 years worth of global supply. There's no earlier numbers, so we don't know exactly how much the estimate is higher since there was no earlier figure. But in natural gas from shale, where we do have an earlier number, this revision is an increase of about 47% from the earlier numbers. We're talking about huge amounts of oil and natural gas. So that you might get a boom in the global production of oil and gas in the same way that you've had a boom in the U.S. production that eventually will turn the U.S., I think, into a net exporter of oil when we change the law that lets so that the U.S. can export crude, and a net exporter of natural gas as soon as we build the ports and license the ports that will let us liquefy the gas and then ship it abroad. But I've said a couple times seems, because there's one thing you really need to understand here, which is that this is that the U.S. Department of Energy has couched this number in a very precise way. They've said this is the technologically feasible amount that can be recovered. It doesn't say this is the amount that can be economically recovered. It doesn't say this is the amount that can be recovered with existing infrastructure. And the situation is that in a lot of places in the world, there simply isn't the infrastructure there was in the United States that has made this boom possible. That in the U.S., for example, you had an existing network of pipelines that could be readily converted, sometimes expensively, but they existed. You could change directions, you could add a connection here and there so that you could actually move the oil and natural gas from the mid-continent to where refineries are. You don't have that infrastructure in some of the places with the biggest reserves, according to the U.S. Department of Energy, such as Russia and China, the two besides the United States where it looks like there's the most of this stuff. So what you're really talking about is, yes, this could be recovered. Yes, it probably will be recovered at some price for natural gas and oil, but it may not be recovered anytime soon because it's going to cost so much to build this infrastructure of pipelines, terminals, pumping stations, roads to get the drilling rigs in, the drilling rigs themselves, the roads to get the fracking materials in, the horizontal piping, all of that stuff needs to still be added to the equation. So when you're trying to figure it out, I think the easiest thing to do is to go, yes, it's a lot of this stuff. It's going to come onto the market, not in any big rush, so that the profits that the U.S. Producers of oil and natural gas from shale are seeing are not going to be immediately cut in because this is going to long time down the road. And that really the big play, if you're looking at a big play for all of this, is going to be in infrastructure. It's going to be in the pipe. It's going to be in the geology, the study of geology. It's going to be in the seismic surveys. So if you're looking for a way to play this, rather than going out and investing immediately in Gazprom, which owns a huge amount of these reserves in Siberia, but with no pipelines, no facilities to drill, you might want to look at Schlumberger, SLB, because they do a lot of the seismic work, as well as a lot of the management of the oil reserves themselves, or a company called Tenaris, which is a global company headquartered in Luxembourg, formed out of the union of companies in Japan, Mexico, Argentina, and the United States. Tenaris trades in New York as an ADR, symbol is TS. They make what's called oil country tubular goods, which is the pipes that are used for drilling and encasing drills. And this is a place where there's a lot of money as this industry grows. So you might want to look at this stock symbol TS. This is Jim Jubak for Jubak Asset Management.